Hello buddies, this is Game Night. In this video I will describe the Kineticist class for Pathfinder Kingmaker. This will not give you a build to follow per se, but more a guide to where you could set your focus in terms of stats and feats. The Kineticist is a very complex class, so let's get into it as we have a lot to cover. The Kineticist is obtained by buying the Wildcards DLC. See more in the description and the top right corner for more details on it. The main thing to know about the Kineticist is that they never need a weapon, as they form their own blasts, be it ranged or melee. It is formed from their chosen element and are either physical or energy based. A physical blast of either type requires a roll against the enemy's armor class, but it cannot be resisted by spell resistance, while an energy blast of either type requires a roll against the enemy's touch armor class, making it ignore armor, natural armor, and shields. But this blast can be resisted by spell resistance at least until level 17, where you can gain the pure flame infusion to ignore spell resistance. For elements, I recommend you go fire if you're making a ranged kineticist. If you don't go down the fire path, your attacks won't connect as often and a ranger or other archers will quickly outshine you. If you do stick to fire, you will be blasting out a lot of damage, but you will also be very vulnerable. And if you go up against fire resistant enemies, well, you're not too much use. As a kinetic knight, I recommend going with air first for the mischance of ranged attacks, dodge as an extra feat, and the magnetic infusion. You could also go water for some nice healing talents, but the AC bonus that you gain from elements you can gain from a normal shield or armor and braces. Be sure to pick the energy attack from air or water, as that also gives you the option to attack with a melee touch attack when not using a composite blast. For your second element, I would pick earth for the damage reduction and later the bowling infusion that will allow you to trip enemies. Ranged blasts use dexterity to hit, so you want that to be as high as possible. And they benefit from feats like point blank shot and precise shot, but not rapid, many shot, or clustered shot. Furthermore, only physical blasts can benefit from deadly aim, so if you go for a physical focused kineticist, you will want to get that feat as well. Melee blasts do not benefit from increased strength modifiers for damage, so making a kinetic knight with weapon finesse and high dexterity is advised instead. This is because you can then benefit from the increased armor class from the dexterity as well as the attack modifier. You cannot use power attack or piranha strike for increased damage, not even with physical melee blasts. Nor can you use the rogue's finesse training to transfer damage bonuses from strength to dexterity. The damage bonus is determined from your constitution only. Both type of blast will benefit from weapon focused kinetic blast, however. This means that you will want to have as high a constitution score as possible, as that determines your damage bonus as mentioned before to all blast types and keeps your burn from crippling you too much. When using the blast, you can choose to burn yourself to add effects to your blast with different infusions. Infusions come in two varieties: substance infusions and form infusions. You can only have one substance infusion active at any time. For ranged characters, the burning infusion works really well with dealing an additional 1d6 points of fire damage, and later on the pure flame infusion will be needed to overcome spell resistance completely. For melee, the magnetic infusion works really well, as enemies hit with this infusion will be easier to hit with metal weapons. Later on, taking the bowling infusion could be preferred, as that will enable you to trip enemies all around you. Using the form infusion of whirlwind. Form infusions allow you to shape your blasts in either a cone or a line or a wall that you can use against your enemies. The wall in particularly is very good for the ranged kineticist. Oh, so good. As a kineticist, you also gain wild talents. This could be additional feats depending on which element you chose, or supernatural abilities like enveloping winds that will allow you to avoid ranged attacks, or Fire's Fury, which adds your elemental overflow bonus to the damage dealt. And at level 5 you can, as a Kineticist, add metamagic feats through Metakinesis, but each of the effects will increase the burn you will need. You can also use burn to attack with a composite blast at level 7. That combines two elements into a stronger physical blast, with Fire being the only exception as it is energy based. Each burn reduces your hit points by an amount equal to your level, and the burn doesn't go away until you rest. This is why feats like Toughness and Elemental Attunement Chicken is advisable, along with items and spells that increase Constitution and hit points in general. Some abilities that cost burn, like the Air Evasion and Wind Wall, last until the burn is removed. Burn isn't all that bad. At level 3 Kineticist, except for the Kineticist Knight, you will benefit for each burn you have with Elemental Overflow, granting you increased damage and to hit for every burn. Just always keep an eye on your health. You will also at level 6 Kineticist, including the Kineticist Knight, gain a size bonus to 2 ability scores if you have 3 or more burn stacks. At a later level, these bonuses increase even further with more burn stacks. Remember that different size bonuses don't stack, like the bonus from the mutagen. The Kineticist does gain an option to reduce the amount of burn when using skills called Gather Power. You can reduce burn by 1 for a move action, 2 for a full round action, and 3 for a full round action and a move action. While this increases the time it takes between attacks, it also enables you to use more infusions or unleash the more powerful composite attacks without having to use burn. Gather Power will be needed to consistently be able to deal damage without suffering from too many burns. Burns should, in my opinion, be used for buffs like the aforementioned, or situations where it would be beneficial to take additional burn to turn the tide of a fight. At level 5, you reduce the cost of infusions by 1 if you use 2 or more infusions. This reduction increases as you level up, enabling you to use more infusions without suffering from burns. I do not recommend a Kineticist as your main character, but instead I recommend using the companion that you get in Act 2. There's a bit of a spoiler ahead about her, so if you don't want to hear that, skip ahead. The reason for this recommendation is that the Kineticist companion does go around the aforementioned issue in a really clever way, as she is able to call forth her sister, who is, conveniently enough, also a Kineticist, but she is water-based. This means that you can switch to the other character should you encounter an enemy that fire can't deal with. If you do not...
This is really cool. I gotta say, the class is extremely difficult to grasp. But you have 2 of them to try it out on. You have, if one of them, if Canara is nearly dead or has too much burn, you just switch. And you have a full character. You have 2 characters in one. I did not expect this. I definitely did not expect this. And this just enhances this companion's usability for everyone. Instead of making a Kineticist, you can actually use this companion because it's better. If you do not like that both are ranged, you can however use the respecialization mod to respec one or both, as the in-game respecialization will result in the same base archetype as they started out with. I have chosen to do so and use the one of them as a kinetic knight and the other as a fire range. So far it's working out nicely. The Dark Elementalist is intelligence based, which means that the intelligence determines the damage bonus instead of constitution. It gives you the ability to soul drain as well. This enables you to control your burns, as you're able to remove them when draining corpses. She can only have 3 burn stacks at any time, however. The attack and damage bonus she gains is based off how many times the soul drain has been used per day. The Psychokineticist is wisdom based. This means that wisdom determines the damage bonus instead of constitution, and he doesn't lose hit points, but instead he takes penalties to will saves and wisdom based checks. Not a good trade-off, as the will saves are already bad from the class itself. Reducing them further will not be good.
The elemental overflow of the Psychokineticist grants an alchemical bonus instead of a size bonus. The Kinetic Knight is still Constitution based, just like the pure Kineticist. This means that Constitution still determines the damage bonus on blasts. The Kinetic Knight gains an improved Kinetic Blade that costs 0 burn to use. This means that the Kinetic Knight delivers her blast through melee attacks. This replaces the metakinesis of the regular Kineticist. The Kinetic Knight also gains special infusion for his blade. The normal Kineticist does not have access to these, like the Blade Whirlwind at level 10, which enables the Knight to hit all nearby enemies once within reach. The Kinetic Knight can wear any armor, but I recommend a maximum of medium armor so you can still benefit as much as possible from the high dexterity. She's always attuned to her shield, and that means she'll be able to use Gather Power while using it. She's also able to remove fatigue, shaken or sickened conditions she may be afflicted by. At level 8 you gain an extra attack. You can still gather power medium to reduce the burn, but you will only strike every other turn with both your attacks. Haste will also grant extra attacks for the Kineticist Knight, so make sure you have that in your party or on your Kinetic Knight, as Celerity will enable the Knight to cast haste on the party as well, albeit for a much shorter time. As mentioned, I think the Kinetic Knight works best if used as a dexterity build with weapon finesse and combat reflexes. To get all those attacks of opportunity is really great, especially if you add an enlarged person to gain reach. While a pure Kineticist is great, you do have a couple of options if you want to add some extra flair to your character. A maximum of 3 levels should go into the Vivisectionist for the sneak damage, a few personal buff spells, and the mutagen buff. My favorite, however, is multi-classing 3 levels into Rogue for the 2d6 sneak attack damage, evasion, and finesse training, which gives you a free weapon finesse feat, but you won't qualify for the dexterity 2 damage, unfortunately. It is especially useful for the Kinetic Knight, but can be used for the normal Kineticist as well. The loss you will have from not following through on the Kineticist will be especially apparent in the damage output. Level 17 is also where you gain the second last damage die increase, so again a good reason to keep going until level 17. The last damage die increase is offset by the 2d6 from the sneak attack if you went with 3 levels of Rogue. On top of that, a lot of the burn usage and size alchemical bonuses improves as the Kineticist level increases. I hope this guide helped you to better understand the Kineticist and how you want to build your character. If you like this video, hit that like button and share the video with a friend or two. It helps out a lot more than you might think. If you want to check out my stream every Monday at 10 PM GMT and Wednesday at 8 PM GMT, where I play Pathfinder, Kingmaker and other games, or check out my campaigns here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful game night.